Okay, so I have two things to show. The idea is the following. Maybe I can make this small. I make a short intro. The idea is that I show you something what I normally don't show. So the one thing we don't show is our self-initiated lab stories. So we will show a little bit how we worked and what we did for our internal project. So it's something people come up with an idea and then we do it. And once we have time, that's always very vague. So that means that can happen that we have an idea and then we work for 1.5 years because we have other client project things. So this is not important, so you leave it by side. So we have finally, we did it. We have one labs project to show. And the other thing I will risk to talk about is it exists a format of fuck-up nights. So that's actually a project, a fuck-up project. For the record, kind of, we didn't succeed, but we learned a lot. We lost a lot of money, we lost a lot of energy and time, but it's a super interesting project and I will show it to you. I just decided before with Nicole that it would be interesting to show. So I hope it's interesting for you. The first one, the labs project, is faster explained. The idea was that we found, and actually I'm now just because everything is improvised, I'm jumping actually to our Behance portfolio. So you will find on our portfolio where we have different projects, what we did. You have the first project, which is here now. It's called The Cost of Living Across Europe. The point there is that there is a nice article. This is a premiere for us because we described in a Medium article, or quite as a long article, we described what we did, why we did it, and how we did it. And I'm gonna make now quite fast because you can read it afterwards. Basically, the idea is that we chose a content. Okay, there is also a fuck-up part of it. We chose a content because we wanted to support the European Union. And we thought, yeah, we're Europeans, come on. I mean, I'm European, I have Austrian citizenship. And we thought, okay, we want to support them, so let's do something. They don't have money, Europe is poor. So let's take some data from Eurostat, and then we found this harmonized index of prices, consumer prices, yes, harmonized index consumer prices. And the interesting part about that index is that there are economists in all European countries which are all the time collecting prices. They are collecting the prices for how much does milk cost in Greece, how much do olives cost in Greece, how much do they cost in Spain, and then they look in Switzerland, but in Switzerland olives are not the main food ingredient, so in Switzerland they look how much is what would be in the same sunflower oil. So kind of there is a comparison which is super interesting of what are the main products and how much do they cost. And it's clear that in Switzerland olives are not grown here, so they are importing it, so the price for olives is different than in Greece. So there is quite a complex calculation. And we thought, that's actually quite interesting. And then we started reading about it. And first we were confused. Then we were trying a little bit to show how does the price of milk, as an example, add up. And actually, this harmonized index is a basket, and the basket consists of a percentage which is for all countries valid, where they say how much of your prices or your costs that you have should go to housing. How much are going for household, health, transportation, communication, education, clothing, alcohol, and so on. So that means that this is kind of representing my life. So kind of, this is what I should spend on. Now, that's kind of the one side of the medal. The other side is that, of course, in different countries, these things cost different. And which means that we were also, as Dylan did it, we were using Tableau and we were exploratively going into the data, trying to figure out, okay, is there any pattern? So normally we always use standard tools to see, okay, so how is it, I don't know, how is it spread over Europe? Is there something special? Of course, then you will find that for some countries, Iceland, and you will very fast find countries we don't have the European, the euro, the currency, so there is kind of currency, how do you say, transaction, so Swiss franc to euro and so on. So there is always, you will find that pattern. And then we are explaining in this article that we love to construct new diagram types, blah, 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 marketing. And then this is the interesting part, that we were actually saying, okay, somehow there seems to be this ideal life, and then on the other side we have either countries where something costs more, or other countries where something costs less. So this idea came then in this sketch. This is a sketch from the process, and then the result was that we were afterwards building this and testing the diagram type in D3. We are here also are explaining how we use the code and what we did there. And basically this is also the creative part, kind of what was the inspiration for the colors, and it was of course Van Gogh. So the end result is this poster, which is you can download it in high resolution, blah blah blah. It's a labs, as we said. And how this, I'm missing one diagram. Maybe we have to wait. Where's the? Yeah. I have to see. Yeah. Okay. So basically, the diagram type is a combination of a donut which has percentages and the average line of the European countries. So basically, you have for every country, you have the index, which is the average of the 28 European countries, and then you have the costs for the part, be it education or telecommunication, which is lower or above that index. So basically, I'm saying basically very often now, but what we then did is that we combined these two diagram types. So how you can read that is that you say in Poland there is this thick white line that's always the middle point, and that's the 100, that's the average. If the value goes below, it's imploding, it's falling inside on a scale, and you have a scale of 5 to the inner and a scale of 5 to the outer. And then you have the dashed line. The dashed line is the average, so actually this would be the average if it for the EU, and this is the average for Poland. That's Portugal. And like this, you can see what countries are kind of below in the costs, and which are on the line and which are above, like Switzerland, where we're living at. And that's it. I wouldn't make it too long. What we have, we wanted to do that. Now I like the other ones. We have printed 1,000 copies.
It was as expensive as Comfort.
That's the printing perspective. And we have high quality print with matte. Is that one matte? I don't know. So very nice printout and good paper, not folded, colors and everything. And if you want, you can take one home. We have also folded ones. It's for those.
Actually, we made it for, or as a Christmas present for our clients.
Yes, it was a Christmas present. You feel free, take one. I would take not the folded one because it's nicer to hang it, but you can take both. So yeah, that's our labs project. And now I would, and the part of the fuck up part, what I want to say, is that once we were done, I was super proud and I was like, yes, now I'm going to contact the European Union. So, okay, not Union, I called and I tried to reach Eurostat. I was writing them, hey, we did something with your data, would you be curious? Can I send you an example? Okay, first, I didn't find any address of the authors who is behind this data. Second thing is, then I found first level support. Okay, then I wrote to the first level support, I didn't get an answer. Then after one day I thought, okay, I will call them. So I called first level support and I was on the line in a call center. And then I was explaining them that we did a project and then they were, so you have questions for legal questions. I said, no, I'm not asking for legal questions. I would like to talk to the author. So you have questions about our website and the publications? I said, no, actually I want to talk to the author. And then we said, yeah, but that's not possible. And I said, I don't understand it. In Switzerland, behind every statistic, in Bundesamt für Statistik, you have an author. You can always contact someone. I don't understand why in this great European Union I cannot contact anyone to ask for feedback. So I had a discussion. Then at some point I said, can I have your
Superior.
yeah, so the superior person. Then that person was explaining me that I can write kind of my request and they will send it to a group which is there and they will answer me. So I sent everything by mail. I was really losing my nerves because I was like, okay, we are trying to do something good and they are making it really hard for us. And then I got an answer that the group has answered, so not from the group directly. They're not allowed to write me directly. I got from the first level support an answer that they have answered that they don't understand what questions I have. And I was like, okay, kind of, okay. And then it goes on and on. So after 2 weeks, and I was really I was rude and unpolite at some point with my mails, and I was really writing things like, I am disappointed to be a European citizen and blah, blah, and I will never do things for free. You know what my salary is and how much this costs. And then I got the name, and yeah, and now I'm in contact with the person. I was really thinking I'm taking now the Swiss citizenship. Okay, so that's the labs part. And now I'm really showing something very special. So it will be more, because there is mostly it's process. Digital things. They are saying that for the next 20 years, paper will be the main medium in Africa for health and doctors and kind of...
For not hospitals, like small health places. Facilities, yeah.
Yeah, for kind of reporting in health facilities outside of the city, it will be paper. They don't have that kind of education and maybe humidity and electricity to do everything on a computer. So we said, okay, cool, we like that. And then we started the project, very enthusiastic. And the first phase of our project is that we are trying to figure out what the problem is. So kind of what are we talking about? We're trying to analyze it. And in this particular project, the challenge is to simplify all these forms, because the forms the doctors are using, kind of one doctor is using one form, the other, region is using another form. So actually they have a lot of different forms which could be standardized, made simple, and especially what we were interested in is that we could design it in a way that could support doctors' decisions. Which means if you are now writing the weight from the baby.
Usually they don't have doctors.
That's another point, what we figured out. That in these rural areas, you have professional nurses, but you don't have doctors. So kind of if a baby is under a certain weight and it has to be immediately into the hospital, it would be a possibility to save that life if in the form you write, for that age you should have this weight. And if it's below that weight, immediately call the hospital and bring it to the hospital because the child is in danger. So we thought at that point that it's really a very important project and that we can really help change things in Africa. So we felt very important. The next challenge is that this is to be applied in 3 countries. In Nigeria, big country, quite developed for Africa, English speaking. In Côte d'Ivoire, French speaking. And Mozambique, Portuguese. So forms in these countries are not just different languages, but they are on a different level. You have a different political system, and so on and so on. So we thought, okay, we need to understand how it works. And actually this is how the process starts, is that our customer is explaining us the whole landscape, showing some forms. Because we were saying, okay, show us the forms, and the forms are actually captured in a very poor quality. Another point is that at some point we are figuring out they are working since 2 years on the project, but there have been 2 design agencies who have been collecting all these forms. And that there is a lot of knowledge and they actually want us to start working, but we actually don't understand where are we, where should we attach the knowledge, where are the forms. So we have a lot of workshops, it's already the 3rd workshop. I'm really trying to understand
how everything is connected.
How everything is connected.
Process.
Who do we need to help? Who is kind of the target group? What is the level of knowledge? After every meeting, I'm trying to summarize what I learned, and I'm trying afterwards to show this summary to the client, saying, is this correct? Kind of, is this the connection? Always showing, that's also another sketch, kind of the timeline. It's always important, kind of once you work, show the timeline. Now they have their advisory boards. Here we have our session with the advisory board, which is on the other continent, which are super experts. So they are asking us, with what method are you working? And you're like, method? Yeah, we are analyzing currently. So, and what they are really good at is that they can talk about things in a way I cannot. So they have names for everything, and for how they work, and they have keywords, and kind of I'm a researcher for this, and I have experience with that, and we were really impressed in the beginning, like, okay, yeah. So they are telling us, giving suggestions how we should proceed, and we are trying to fit everything in. So now here we are already in the second month, and we are still somehow trying to grasp the whole complexity. It sounds really difficult, and what we did here is also an experience for us, is we dedicated one room for this project. We said, we have one room here, we will rent a room, and we want the people always to be in this room when we work on the project. We don't want remote over computers, Skype talk, blah, blah. It's much too complex. We need them here, we need them focused, we need them concentrated, and we need to work with the walls. We always work with walls. We put everything to the walls so that you can compare the things. And at some point we also start looking into these forms. And as you see here, the way how these forms were documented,
they were not structured.
Is very
They were all in one folder with no names. And we didn't care about the existing forms so much. We just cared, let's do some new forms. So, but we have to understand the existing forms.
And the way of documentation was actually challenging, because the angle, how they made the forms, because they were visiting these facilities. So they were going to Africa, and they were with the design agencies before, and they were making photos. But there was no concept of, I take it, I put, I don't know, a pencil next to it, I make photo, because the pencil is the reference to the size, so I can relate how big is this form. So this kind of little concept, it's kind of, some of the photos are from the side made, accidentally.
Because we found that the books are like A3 landscape, so it's also a challenge to handle a big book like this. You have to know these things.
So we figured out that we don't know enough, and here Nicole is really asking form by form, and somehow we are still not grasping this big picture. How do these things come together? And then suddenly a new request is there. Okay, that's me, still working, trying to understand. And then there is a new request, which is maybe a new chance. And the request is that there will be a workshop in Africa in December, 3 days, where there will be the health minister of Nigeria, Mozambique, and Cote d'Ivoire. There will be scientists from universities, nurses, so very important people, and they will come together for 3 days as like a little conference for them, and we have to make the program happen. And we were like, but we have nothing to show. And then it was like, okay, but we should work with them. And the point was that there was politically the project already running 2 years, so they needed to see something. So there was very high pressure. We were super high pressure, exhausted on that topic, because it was much too early in the project now to start working or asking the minister, do you like this? Because I had nothing. So we tried to twist the whole thing into the direction saying, okay, let's work with the people, telling them, because probably they don't even understand what is for us Europeans design, why you need to design a form. Let's try to teach them a little bit something about Swiss design, the potential, and let's get a good connection and let's ask them to get the newest forms. Let's ask to get the physical books to Basel. And that we then start working with them.
And their input
and their input. So that was then the concept for a 3-day workshop. So we started collecting. At some point also we were asking, okay, where is all this happening? And we were looking at the map, and it was developing, and at some point here there was also pressure that we could define what is actually the scope of the project, and kind of you have national health facilities, province health facilities, district health facilities, and kind of what is their function, and they have records of patients, and how many doctors are for these reports responsible. And then the interesting part of this project is that nobody was looking at this primary health care, so these are very rural, and that they have actually quite big records, and the number of patients per doctor is around 10,000. So actually they have an extremely big workload. So we were really motivated to help these people to be faster with forms, because they have to fill out forms, because that's what the government requires, because all the big countries in the world, they want to know how many HIV problems do we have in a country. Is it growing, rising, or lowering? So there is a big interest to fill out forms. The problem is if you fill out that many forms, the patient doesn't get the attention he would need. So that was kind of raising that problem, explaining about it. And let me see what's next. 13, what's 14? Yeah, this is just a rough sketch where we were trying to grasp how is the political organization behind this project. So who do we talk to, and when, and that's always a project for us, a problem for us. When are decisions made? Who's making the decision if I did the right job? So kind of how many forms do I have to deliver until somebody will say, good, you did a good job. How many tests, how many scientists do they have to, how big is the approval process for me? So this is a little bit the process where we're trying to grasp this kind of organization. This is something where we were trying to make our approach visible. So we were trying to create something like a project diary, where we were asking ourselves and filling out every day the question, kind of what question did I have, how did I feel, kind of good or bad, where did it lead? So kind of we wanted to scientifically elaborate our happiness in the project and see when were we happy, how did we proceed, make like a diary to that approach. So kind of that's still a lapse for us that we want to continue, because we think that there is big potential for data-based diaries in science. At some point we also knew, okay, who are the people in the project, and then we were in Africa. We were picked up with this car at night in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, and we came to a facility. And same night, when we arrived, we got into this room where the whole workshop will take place, and these tables were very officially prepared in a U form, where you have the translators, and you have flags there for the politicians and so on. And then we decided that we will change that. We don't want hierarchies, we want people to work, we want people to participate, and then we built up something like this. So we took out all the tables, the boxes were there. We tried to hang as much things on the wall as possible, kind of our style, which was quite tricky because we were not sure if the politicians will play that game with us, or if they will say, no, what is this? Outside of the hotel, it's only one image. I could show a lot, but actually this is a very nice image. And this is the first day, and here I was trying to explain again what is the project about, even though it's not my job. But I was still thinking, okay, I will explain kind of what is the current system with the reports and how much it takes to record and report, and that we want to simplify that, capturing the system and even enrich it with knowledge from a knowledge base, so that we help decision support, that we help the people to fast make decisions if something is urgent or not. Here is Nicole taking some forms and explaining something about information hierarchies and saying that kind of these things on the left 2 pages, kind of there has to be a clear hierarchy that I can navigate through this and so on. That was kind of the educational part. We had something, we called it the speed dating form, where each of the participants, we made a Polaroid and we asked questions, and kind of that we also know the language, and the people got a color sticker so that we knew, okay, what language can I communicate to that person, and where are you from, what do you expect from the project, and so on. And there was a full wall with all the people there. So actually we were very fast able to break the ice. So, and that was actually really super experience. We got a lot of support, and then next day we let them work. So next day was, okay, you want 3 days? Good, now you will work. And then the second day we took out the forms, we asked them, there was always a table group with 3 countries, so that they talk to each other, which is also, again, first time that kind of Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria and Mozambique talk to each other, that they should look, are there similarities? Then they told us, this is not the newest form, you are using old things, and this is missing, and we're like, okay, that's good, let's write it down. And so all these things, the exchange happened, so we were actually quite happy. We let them do some design exercises. They came even earlier. They wanted to learn more about Swiss design. This is something students do here in the first year of design studies. And as you see here I was explaining some design principles, and they all came very close, too close for me. It was really, normally students stay 2 meters of distance and do like this. They were really bam here. So no, it was really nice. In the end of the day, we had suggestions how to simplify forms. We had some ideas, we had some directions, and best of all, there was really good mood. And this is actually 2 months later. This is coming from Mozambique, and this is coming from Nigeria. 2 packages from the ministry with a collection of their full forms, which are most current. So we have in our basement, we have the most complete collection of forms from these countries. As you see here, this is kind of different form books. This is mother and child, pregnancy, HIV, all the forms from the whole medical system, which is super interesting to look at. But as you see, I mean, this is 50 kilos. That's a lot of work. So at this point, we had to start somehow with some topic. And what I actually forgot is that this project, when we started, it was set to 6 months and then finished. So here we are now in the 4th month, 5th month. So now there is pressure coming from America, who says, okay, you have 1 month to go. And we're like, okay, that's impossible. So we say, okay, good, then let's do, this is Nigeria and Mozambique to 1 topic. So we take 1 topic, and then we start cut and pasting. We start simplifying. We start thinking about new concepts, how something should be written, how do we use the edge of a paper. the whole team is working. We put a lot of effort and estimate. New ideas are coming up. We have to judge about new ideas. As you see here, we have here all these forms. We have categorized things, kind of are things repeating? What is kind of your administrative information, kind of where do you live, your name, your age? What is your body information? So kind of we are categorizing them with color, cutting them, resorting them, kind of getting into really hard analysis, trying to show how things are connected and when is a decision necessary. So we really want to make that prototype happen. And to communicate this, I use videos. So I wanted to keep our friends in Africa engaged. So I wanted to show them how we work and what we do. And to do that, I was actually sending for them a video where I was explaining the whole process. I won't show it because it's long. Okay, now looking back, it's funny. So basically, I'm explaining at this point, instead of writing a manual, I'm explaining on the screen that they should comment in the PDF in our sketch that their comments, kind of that they understand how they should participate with us and what kind of comments do we want from them. So kind of I'm making this instruction, video, sending it over to them, asking them for feedback. Of course, you have here always political stuff too. So some people, if I don't include the right person in the email, then somebody's not answering for weeks, then you have to put the other person in and so on and so on. Sticky note and so on. And this thing goes actually very well. So what we have at that point is, that's not this one, but kind of we have for this prototype, we have really good comments on what we can improve. And this is not designed. This is just for them to approve that our content, what we want to put in, would fit to these 3 countries. Because that's still a very big thing. That kind of, if you have an agreement that Mozambique, Nigeria, and Ivory Coast are using the same form and asking for the same questions, that's a big standardization step. And that's nothing to do with really the design of the form, that's really just working on the content. So we are working with the World Health Organization in Geneva, where we talk about vaccination. This is our template, but we are trying to standardize worldwide when does a child need to have what kind of vaccination, how they depend. So we have established that connection too. We have created a template for that. Now I'm kind of making a big thing out of it. And then they say, okay, you can continue, but there is no budget. And we're like, okay, we spent so much time and so much energy and so much effort into this. And at some point there was the impression that we have the wrong method, how we work. And there was a misunderstanding there, probably. And at some point we just had to say, okay, we have to stop it here where we are. That's how it ended for us. And then, we have, as I said, we have the most complete library here, digitalized about African forms. Fuck up, sorry.
Maybe